Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia and our special edition of Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai and we're broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. We have a very special guest tonight and in commemoration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which is observed every year, December 3, we have in our studio an advocate for persons with disabilities, Ms. Samrica Zogar. Samrica, welcome to Focus on Liberia. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Dennis, and thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to be here with you tonight so we can get into some important discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And this is your first time on Focus on Liberia. We've kind of planned to have you a long time, but tonight is the best time.
Yes.
Everything has time, and we are glad to have you to talk about persons with disabilities, especially as we observe this day. Again, we want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Again, this is in observance of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. My guest is an advocate for persons with disability, Ms. Samrica. Samrica, again, welcome. Just for those who don't know you, let's say, give us a brief summary about yourself and what you do and why you do what you do.
My name is Samrica Zogar. I'm from Liberia, Grand Bassa, and Lofa. That's my root. And I'm an advocate for persons with disability. I'm a mother as well to an intelligent 11 years old. And I do what I do because trying to protect the next generation of people that will be born or that will find themselves in this position as me. So speaking up for the voiceless, I think is very important.
Right. Thank you. And when you say or I introduce you as an advocate for person with disability, what does that mean? And what exactly do you do advocating for people with disabilities?
Speaking on our rights, how we should be treated with respect and dignity, and how people should treat us as human beings, and not just a thing or a petty, and also advocating for our government that policy decision that will be made, we should be included, and also our rights should be protected as human beings as well.
Thank you. And before we even come to the day itself, because there are some words we're throwing out there, persons with disabilities, disabled. What does it mean when it says someone with disability, and what are the different forms of disability? I know in Liberia we don't call them by such pretty names. So define for our audience, what does this mean, persons with disabilities?
Persons with disabilities is people who have challenge. We have some kind of challenges. Some were born with it, and some was not born with it. Some people through accident, and but our society think that when you have a challenge, they feel that it's a disease. But disabilities is not a disease. It's just a challenge, and we have a unique way of going about it. And we have different kinds of disabilities. I love to use the word special needs because I feel that even you yourself, you have some needs that are special.
Yeah.
So I don't like to do the stereotype like what society have done us. So, and we have people who are physically challenged, which means people who in a wheelchair, people who on crutches, or people who have some mobility issues of getting around. These are people who have physically challenged, and we have people who are visually impaired, which means people who are blind, like can't see, or they have maybe and temporary blindness and stuff like that. And then we have people who have hearing and speech impairment. People call them deaf and dumb, but it is an offensive word to use on people with speech and hearing impairment. Like people who can talk and speak. They have speech and hearing impairment. And then we have people who are born with autistic kid, which means that the learning process is slow. The way to go about it they are very unique. And then also we have people with Down syndrome. Is another group of people. And then we have people with learning disability. You may not see it, but in the learning process, they take time to be able to get to something, but they are
Right.
definitely going to get there. They are just these are people with learning disabilities. And also we have other groups of people that fall within the disabilities group, like people with diabetes. It's another form of disability. People with HIV and AIDS, it's
Mm.
another form. People with cancer. So it's not just our physical appearance, but coming from Africa with the mindset of our people who is not aware, is not educated, the primitive mindset. So people think that it is your physical look that make you a person with disabilities or special needs or crippled. And
Wow.
sometimes it is, that's why you and myself are discussing. Our society don't know all these things. They call
Right. And
us
Samrika,
kids.
before you go ahead, because you are
Mm-hmm.
opening my eyes to things I did not know before. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why, even when I was asking the question, I myself thought it was a stupid, dumb question, right? That what is disability? And I like how you explained that even almost everybody, all of us have some form of disability.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is the degree. And you even went ahead naming things like diabetes, because something that limit what you do,
Mm-hmm.
the way we like eating palm butter, but because of your cholesterol or because of something, you can do it.
Yep.
You have some form of disability. And in Liberia, especially in our, culture,
Mm-hmm.
maybe out of ignorance, or we don't try to, we give this thing, the names are not pretty,
Mm-hmm.
you know and when we come here we start working with the same population, but because of the culture, so we don't even call them by the name, but back home the names are not very pretty.
No, it is not.
And why you think is that?
Because I think we have a society that are not educated, and I think it is important that we carry on awareness within our communities, in our schools, in our churches, in our malls, in our hospital. We need to talk about it. It's something I think the government don't need. Maybe the Ministry of Education, I think, is something that they would love to look at, to put within and the educational system, that schools will be taught in schools. Let people know all these things, because kids are born, people are being born today, they don't know. Even people who are older, they don't know all these things. Even
Right.
myself, when I was in Liberia, I didn't know until when I started traveling, doing my advocacy and started doing research, and I know that people shouldn't call me these kind of words. Like, I'm not supposed to be called cripple, I'm not supposed to be called handicapped and stuff like that. But I don't like take it personal. I don't hold people because I know our society, the ignorance. But when
Right.
people try to like play dumb, like when you try to correct them and they feel like you're being sensitive, you're being emotional about it, and they want to go about it, they don't want to they don't want to take the criticism, and they think that you're coming after them, and that's when
Right.
I, yeah.
Right. Talking about that, before the show, I was reading about it, and this is what I find about people. Is it out of the nearly 7 billion people around, 1 billion people live with some form of disability,
Yes.
meaning approximately 15%
Hmm.
of the entire world's population. That's huge.
Hmm.
And I also found that 80% of those people live in developing countries like Liberia.
Hmm.
And look at this. Persons with this disability are the world's largest minority, and they generally have poorer health,
Hmm.
fewer economic opportunities, lower education achievement, and higher rates of poverty compared to those without disability.
Yep. And
So, people with disability, they face many obstacles, including those resulting from legislation or policy that you talked about earlier, those relating to the physical environment, or from societal attitudes or discrimination. Go ahead and your thought. You were saying something.
yeah, that is, and even in Liberia, you have 99.9% of people with disabilities are living actual poverty, which is sad because my country is a signatory to the conventions on the rights of persons with disabilities, and Liberia even ratified these laws, and in July of 2012 it was ratified. So it is our government responsibility to make sure that whatever developing countries are doing to promote our rights, to make sure we have equal rights to empowerment, jobs, and healthcare, and schools to be accessible, buildings to be accessible. These are things our government should be doing because they signed this convention and they ratify it. So it's not just we just want to speak, but our leaders are already make this obligation, and disabilities right is human right.
Hmm.
So these are things that I think, and it aside, like when you have disabilities in Liberia, you go for job, people see they feel right away that you're not qualified.
Yeah.
Sometimes the buildings are not accessible, and when you go to the managers or the supervisor or CEO say, "Oh, the building here, it gets stable, but we can't hire you because you have to come upstairs." How that is my responsibility to make that
Yeah.
building accessible.
Yeah.
So these are all these obstacles we face, but there are smart people out there that have disabilities and live in Liberia that can do anything as any other person, any
Yeah.
any job. So it just need our government just need to invest into this group of people.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are in conversation with Samrica Zogar, and this is in observance of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. So let's come to the day itself.
Mhm.
I read that the annual observance of the International Day of Disabled Person was proclaimed in 1992 by the UN
Mhm.
General Assembly. So today is that day, December 3, every year. Tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that day and why is it important?
This data is important because you have a lot of people, and all these laws you see in America, it didn't just come to realization. You have people who advocated, people who protested, that they deserve the right, they deserve to be treated as human beings. So the United Nations General Assembly got together and they passed and they proclaimed this every December 3rd. They will be set aside for us to do awareness, for us to mobilize, for us to treat our disabled brothers with dignity and respect, for us to be able to navigate on how we can have an inclusive society that everyone can be treated equal. So this is what it is. The day is about.
So normally when people observing that day, like this year
Mhm.
theme, they say the theme for this year is leadership and participation of persons with disabilities toward an inclusive, accessible, and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. So
Yeah.
normally what do people do on this day?
Now, normally these days is like when you go to the United Nations, it's mainly celebrated at United Nations, which have been there on several occasions. You have different panel discussions. You have people from all over the world that come and discuss issues that affect people with disabilities and how we can go about it. And then sometimes people give the recommendation, and from there they come up with some documents to see how countries who is a signatory to these rights and conventions can follow all this process.
Do we do that in laboratory? We observe this day?
Yes, this is observing Liberia. When
Yeah,
I was when I was in Liberia, yep, I attended a few programs for persons with disabilities, and even Liberia sometimes send people to represent people at the UN as well.
right. And I also read that the aim is to promote the rights and well-being of persons with disability in all spheres of society and development, and to
Hmm.
increase awareness of the situation of persons with disabilities. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about that, the situation of persons with disability. What is the situation of persons with disability in our society? First, starting with diaspora Liberians and also back home in Liberia, what condition we face?
And I would say for us here, it is like you think that people here would be more aware, but no, it is sad to say that people here there's sometimes they are even more ignorance to people back home. And then you have these people that here they work with these people with disabilities. Someone they work in and this group home that they have
Yeah,
people with special needs that live there
right. I
and
worked
stuff
there
like
before.
that. But when they see us that have special needs in the communities, the way they treat us, the way they will talk about us. I had an incident with my friend. We went at her house or apartment. We went to the pool, and we saw these Liberians sitting. They were having party, and when they saw us, other than started like like staring, talking, and when the thing about the thing about the way they look at us, it's not like they are curious, they want to know or they want to ask question. It's like what this thing is coming from. This thing look
Yeah.
disgusting. That's the
Mm.
kind of look when we went and we get from our brothers and sisters. So when we went, they started staring, and then we saw the children started running behind us. And then my friend asked them, "Where you going?" They said, "We're following you to laugh."
Oh,
But the parents were sitting right there. So she was like, she said, "Sam, are you serious?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, but I don't blame this kid. They heard the parents talking.
yeah.
So they are learning from what the parents are doing. If we just educate our children, I got her 11 years old. When she was 5, she started to ask, "Mommy, what make your feet like this? What make your children are very inquisitive, they want to know."
Yeah.
So if we take upon ourselves and start to educate our children in our homes, it would be very helpful because children don't go out here and just start bullying and playing mockery out of people. They get this behavior from their parents and from home. So these are some of the things we face here as person with disabilities. Even I went to the African store the last time. People would just leave what they're doing. They just start staring at me. And my friend got so angry. She like, "Sam, I'm about to blow up." I said, "Don't blow up. This is what we face. People
Yeah.
that are very prejudiced against us get in the street. They feel that we look like something that's not supposed to be among them, but it is okay." And she was so angry about it. And I think I came on Facebook and I did a live video about it and stuff like that.
Mm.
So these are the challenges we face among our people in America. Then back home, it's come with poverty, no
Yeah.
job, people that on the street begging. Even when they see us, some of us who like go to work and feed our family, they feel that you on the street to beg. I've been in supermarkets in Liberia, or they see me that they feel that I went there to go beg. That's the stereotype. That's what people have in their mind. Any person that has special needs, they are beggar. They don't have family, they don't have this. So it is sad. Like you find poverty on the increase. You see people with disabilities live in the slum community. Some
Yeah.
of them, the kids, some of them have kids. The kid have to go on the street and beg before they eat. When I was there, did a lot of work with women in the West Point area in this slum community and stuff like that. So these are some of the challenges we face when it comes to schools. It's not accessible. Like today, I went for the event and I had a friend. Now we attended the same school. She had disabilities. She was telling me, "Can you imagine? We instead of Mary's climbing all these steps, sometimes like, wow, how am I going to go to class?" So even me, I have to drop out of school because building's not accessible. You go to school, your feet get bruises on it. When the rainy season, at that time, I didn't have shoes. I was walking with my bare feet. So sometimes when it's rainy season, I have to stay out of school. If I go to school, I either get sick with my feet and stuff like that. So all these challenges, we have schools are not accessible. We have our own university of Liberia that to find a person with disabilities there, it is difficult to attend because it is not accessible and it is overcrowded. You cannot fight for chair. We can't be able to run to classrooms. So these are all these challenges we face when it comes to back home.
Yeah, forgive me for kind of going blank a little bit because these are things that we don't normally talk about, and if you're not in that condition, you don't see it. It's like you are oblivious to it. Our society, because I'm thinking now, I left Liberia, some time ago now, but I'm thinking, is there any building in Liberia that is wheelchair accessible? For
I have
instance,
been seeing that. I think probably you will see the bank. Some of this bank, they will have a little bit of ramp by it.
right,
Yeah, if my mind or my memory will set me right, that's what you will see. But apart from that, you have our Capitol building, which you have a legislature
right,
there, our representatives, senators are there. You don't even have an elevator. How do you expect me to see my lawmaker? I have to crawl to go upstairs to meet my lawmaker, which is sad. And then you have the president office as well. No accessibility. How do I see my president? All this stuff. Even parking space. Like here, we see the handicap spot, a
right,
handicap parking spot for people with disabilities. And the thing about handicap spot, that wall can only be used on the parking spot, but it cannot be used on the individual with a special needs.
yeah,
So a handicap spot, you can find it in In Liberia, in case I have a car, I go to Liberia. How do you expect me to park my car? I have to go all the way up Broad Street, something I have to walk 15 minutes and come down, which means it is not fair to me and people
And
that look like me as well.
wow, it's hmm. So how people, because I've seen if I went to Morovia after so many years, 2017,
Hmm.
and it was like I was seeing this thing for the first time, like people that have a impairment, that are blind, they are there with their little ones holding the, and they are begging, and you see like the child is holding the thing, and they're begging, and it looks very normal to all of us, right? People are there, and that's the only way they can eat. Sometimes some people have to pretend that they are even out of their mind so they can just grab some food and eat because they're hungry.
Hmm.
Are these things really talked about in Liberia and people are not listening, or we're just moving on?
And it has been talked about, but I think that our society see us as second class citizen. They feel like we are not human being enough. Even people who advocate, like I tell people, you don't have to have a special needs or you don't have to have disabilities to be an advocate.
Right.
You don't know tomorrow. Some people was not born with it.
I know quite a few. Yeah.
So it's like, and sometimes finding yourself in that position is even harder than even me. I was born with disability. So sometimes people have the thought of committing suicide, all these stuff. So people are not taking this stuff and into accountability, and it is sad that our society have already get used to it. We just beg God, we talk, government won't do anything about it. So what we need to talk, you then shut our mouth and everybody just go along with the flow, which is sad. And some of us refuse. Like no, we deserve better. We deserve to be treated with dignity. We deserve the same opportunity. All these people you see in the street begging, all they need is opportunity. They
Yeah.
are very smart. They are very intelligent. One of the intelligent people you come across. That's all they ask for. How can our government empower us? How can our government create an inclusive society that every one of us can have a voice on the table?
And in Liberia, we have like the group of 77. We have some of these groups. How are they coping?
And this is the sad part because we have line ministries and agencies
Right.
that we have budget allocation that go to them. And like I don't know if you are going through the budget, but I don't know how much they put towards persons with disabilities in our budget.
Yeah.
And these are issues that I think our government need to tackle, but they feel that it is not important. And look, when you go to the group of 77, it is so important the life the people live over there. Very, very important. When you see the building, you feel bad that this is where a human being comes, or this is where we call group of 77 that cater to a unique group of people and stuff like that. And sometimes I get angry with the vice president office because this is the office that every budget allocation for persons with disabilities go.
Yeah.
And we have them do nothing. And then they will come back and say, oh, I was packed car, I couldn't do nothing, but where all these funding went? We still seeing people on the street begging. You still seeing people in actual poverty. There is no tangible programs that were created to benefit people with disabilities. And then you say you didn't do not the Rena Joa Howard today is she's not speaking out. Nobody know it because the budget is going through her office.
Yeah.
Joseph Walker, the same, went to his office. Even his wife was the executive director for the group of 77. What it did with our money? What's program to create? Nothing.
This was another thing when we, I think about a year or two ago, we had an interview with the albino community,
Mm-hmm.
and the challenges these people face is just appalling. Is that things that we are not focused on? And I must admit, you call us out one time. I was watching your show. You say, "Hey, focus on my bureau." You have all these shows, but you have never had a show on a person with disability. And you
Mm-hmm.
were right. And we said we got to do this because and they were talking about their needs and how much is appropriated for that community,
Mm-hmm.
but the budget keep going down and down. It can't even do anything.
No.
Another thing here is maybe the level of complicity, right?
Mhm.
Because as you said, you don't have to be disabled to advocate for people with disabilities. What is the awareness among the population to say, hey, this this population also have rights just like myself? Are we saying that?
No, I I don't really think so. I think like our brothers and sisters with disabilities, sometimes they get frustrated. Like when I talk to some of them, they're like, "We are tired. We keep talking to people ain't doing anything. So what we'll do, we just gotta live it by it a library now. What they can say in a library now, we get nothing to do. Because when we talk, people not listening, people not doing anything. But you have lawmakers taking 30,000,
Yeah,
then you have this unique group of people that this money can be invested. Because the thing about it, it's just moreover we're looking at. Look at
yeah,
these counties. Go to the counties. Go to the rural side. When I was working at the Ministry of Agenda, we go to Grand Bass or Babodu, and when you see this, like these people live, it's so heartbreaking. And you're like, how can our leaders sit there and even in the Bible they talk about catering to people with disabilities?
yeah,
How we should show more love and concern to this group of people. But you have leaders that sit there and do nothing and feel very proud or I don't know how I should call it, but I don't know, they enjoy seeing people in poverty. But it is sad that when you go to the rural side of Liberia, so I think this is something that we need to decentralize our
yeah.
advocacy. Moreover, you will see it there, but in the rural side, it is heartbreaking.
It may be another question here. So when we say the rights of persons with disabilities, let's talk
Mhm.
about those rights for a moment.
Our right,
Yes.
so our right to be treated with respect, our right to empowerment, our right to live as a human being. Because sometimes we have disabilities. When a child, sometimes when a baby is in your stomach, as a woman, like I was born, my mom had a situation like the doctor said they should abort me because I was going to be born with some deformity. So these are our rights. I'm a human being, not because I will be born like this, so you should abort me. So and then also our right when people abuse us, our
Yeah.
government should stand, our government or laws should be put in place that we will be protected because we are vulnerable to any kind of abuse. Any kind of abuse in this world, people with disabilities are vulnerable to it. So how can we protect them? We have these laws on book. Trust me, Mr. Ja. These laws are on book, but it's not being implemented.
Mm.
I have been in Liberia. I remember when I was going to go speak at an event, and at that time working with the government, and then the bus, I took the bus, the MTA bus. So, and these are things people don't even know. Like when you get on the bus as a person with disability, you should be seated. No matter when there is no seat, they should make a way for you to be seated
Yeah.
in that bus. But when I got on this bus, there was no seat. So I asked the conductor, I need to sit. And they got angry. The guy almost beat me up in the bus for speaking out. I was so
Wow.
afraid. I was going to City Hall. I have to stop halfway to walk to City Hall because I feel the anger was in him, the rage was in him. So I don't want to get beat up in this bus. So I have to get up the bus and walk to go to City Hall. And these are some of our rights. And it is there, it is even written in the bus. But our
Yeah.
people are not following all these things.
So on this day, what do you want people listening to you now to get out of this show? What do you want us to do as Liberians, as viewers, and policymakers?
I want everyone to see us as human beings. I want our government to create or enable environment that will create job for us. I want our leaders to make sure that buildings in Liberia is accessible. I want us to be treated with respect. I want it's not just in Monrovia, but I want these things to go in the counties because our brothers over there, they face is worse than even us in the because people in the counties they are not educated, and also I want awareness to be done. Let us talk about these things in our schools, in our mosques, because when it comes to religious belief, it also plays a role. People have some religious belief that people with disabilities is like this, some religious group thing is like this. So how can we talk about these things in our churches, in our malls, or whatever place of worship, or the traditional people, because we have our traditional people in Liberia as well. How can we talk about all these things? So I want every one of us to be an advocate. You don't need to have disabilities to be an advocate for persons with disabilities.
Thank you. Let's go to a few comments, and we want you to come back. We want you to come back so that we can talk more on this subject because it's very important, and that all of us need to be involved. Let's read a few comments here. This one from our YouTube listeners says, some of us are so mean to people with disability. If we stop and think, all of us suffer some form of disability. I know I have a few. Gloria say you are right. Dwight Port say, I hope the government of Liberia can use her as a consultant for the aging and disability population. She's knowledgeable. And TC said, that's fine. Says, Dwight also is asking, I asked once if there was a department of aging and disability. No one could tell me. That's sad. YouTube say, started terribly as a child, got in a lot of fight because the kids mess with me, especially when called upon to read. Though myself taught myself to talk at age 14.
Hmm.
TC say, I love you. And Mimi say, equal rights with equal opportunity. My last question here before I get your closing comment is, what now is your connection with the disabled population in Liberia?
Yeah, and I do have a few that I work with that they have the organization, and sometimes when they carry on stuff, I talk to them, and then also I reach out to them too. When I was in Liberia, I worked with them. Few organizations I used to go with them and do speaking engagement at event. Even what he needs, and Mill Jones when he doing microfinance loan, I will advocate, and a lot of people with disabilities, men, women, has loan because of through my advocacy, that they need to be empowered as well and stuff like that. So I do have a strong connection with my community, and I know that we need more unity. We need to speak in one voice, because if we speak in one voice and we be consistent, I think our leaders will listen to our plight and stuff like that.
When are you coming back on this show so that we can continue the discussion?
When anytime you want to have me, just hit me up. I will be ready.
All
Mr.
right. I
John.
really, really appreciate your time here and what you have expressed. Today is the beginning because I'm thinking to myself, even at our different functions, at the things we do, I, I think why I want to talk about government, but
Hmm.
I think for a population, for us as fellow Liberians, fellow human beings,
Hmm.
I don't think we've done enough as a people,
No.
right? Because we should be the one to pressure government, to ask government to do X, Y, Z.
Hmm.
Uh, People, we all rally around when people are abused and molested, not because you are abused, but
Hmm.
we talk against rape, we talk against all these things. So we should be able to advocate for the disabled population.
Hmm.
I think we as a society have not done much. And we at FOL, we want to begin tonight
Hmm.
by offering you and members of your community a slot here every time, every now and then, to come and speak about these things, because we need to hear we all culpable in one way or the other. Let me get your closing comments, and I really appreciate your time here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. John. Thanks everyone that watching. Thanks for your comment. Thanks for following. And let me say, today is a day, it's a celebration of resilience, it's a celebration of beauty, it's a celebration of strength, because we are unique kind of people, and we have a lot of resilience in us. We go about our day-to-day activities in a unique way. We are special. If you are out there as a person with disabilities, you are special, you are unique. And I want to say, let us join forces. Let's speak in one voice. Let unite. Let hold our leaders accountable. And let me say to my brothers and sisters that don't have disabilities, disabilities is not a disease. It's just a challenge that every one of us have. So treat people out there the same way you want to be treated. Treat people with respect and dignity. Love on people. Don't see us as object of pity and charity. We are human beings just as you. So thank you, Mr. Jal, for having me, and thank you for offering a slot on focus on Liberia. I think this is something that we need to do more, like awareness, because people follow social media a lot. So creating awareness. Some people say things, do things out of ignorance. Some of them don't mean it. So I think like having this on your on focus on Liberia, it will bring a lot of awareness among our people in America and in Liberia. So thank you. I do appreciate that.
Thank you. Dwight Poole is also Gloria said, "Thank you so much, my sister, and keep your heads up." She continued, "You are beautiful, beautiful and smart. Keep up the good work." Dwight is saying, "Shame on all of us Liberians for not shining more light on our disabled brothers and sisters." And I agree with that. I agree wholeheartedly. But thank you so much, and we want to thank our viewers. Keep it here at Focus on Liberia, where we try to shine the light on everything. We want to discuss all aspects of our society, because Liberia is not for just one. We are all, we have different needs, and so we must be able to talk about all of them. Again, I want to appreciate you for coming. Let's talk after the show that we can have time for us to continue this conversation. On
Thank you,
behalf
Mr.
of all of us here at Focus on Liberia, go ahead and your thoughts.
No, I said thank you, and I love everybody. Thank you for your comment. You have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We want to thank our viewers too for watching. We always close our broadcast with the song that says, "We are all Liberians." We have the disabled population. We have the population that don't have as much disability as others. No matter what you were born with or what you have, we are all Liberians, and we must treat each other with respect, love, and dignity. On that note, we say good night and God bless you.
Thank you.
We are Liberians.